You mentioned acting earlier. The first year after my sister's death, I completely acted my way through it. Every day I acted, every single day. And that's what happened. That's why when I hit that year anniversary mark, I just fell apart because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pretend that I was okay anymore for everybody because I wasn't okay. I was not okay at all. And I needed to not be okay.
You are now listening to the podcast where authors inspire listeners to become authors, the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer, best-selling author, and book enthusiast, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be listening to a different author that will inspire you to join the business of immortality, known as authorship. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by both books, Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself, and the follow-up bestseller, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. Head over to Amazon.com, pick up both books. They are available in a trifecta of paperback, audio, and ebook. Cop all three of both and be on the lookout for another book from yours truly to help podcasters succeed. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the highlight reel builder for authors known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North Podcast. Then we got another super special, awesome human that can fit all three of those G's and more, and courtesy of podmatch.com, baby. That's right, indeed. The wonderful site where podcast guests get to connect with the podcast hosts. And if they're cool, they're freaking in. As today's guest is cooler than 10 cucumbers, because my goodness, when you hear her bio, you'll figure out why. Because she's an award-winning bookcaster, y'all. That's right, indeed, an award-winning bookcaster. Because not only she penned to paper a fabulous book and publishes, she also hosts a podcast of her own, so she knows how to do both. And she is a certified coach, baby. That's right, need a certified coach, as well as a patient advocate, as well as the co-founder of Cancer University, and she's the president and founder of Blue Faery, the Adrienne Wilson Liver Cancer Association. So if you love root beer, then you're going to love today's Miss One and Only A&W with an extra W. So let's give it up for Miss Andrea Wilson Woods. How you doing today, Andrea?
I'm good, Dom. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, thanks for showing up. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Sometimes it can be hard to pin down folks. It's like, come here. I got some positivity for you. Get back here. Where are you going?
I can't believe that you came up with a nickname that was an actual nickname that I had in high school was A&W.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for
Oh,
real. It was
oh,
before I got the second W.
oh, damn. I
Yeah.
guess they wish somebody would, huh? Yeah, because I was drilling my head with your voice yesterday with preparation. I'm like, wait,
Oh no.
A&W. I'm like, yeah, all right, root beer. This is good. I found my association. All right. There we go. That's right, indeed. She gets a little bigger piece of real estate now. I got a nickname for her. But it ain't about root beer, but it's all about getting the root of awesomeness, because everybody knows bios aren't allowed to be 975 minutes, 0.95 years long. And I probably only covered, I don't know, 97 minutes of mine filling in any cavities I may have missed about you that makes you the Andrea that you are today. Since your first time on the show.
This is my first time on the show. Yes, thank you.
So how'd you become the Andrea that you are today? Was there a cactus involved?
No, there was not a cactus involved. That was so random, dude. Like really random. And I'm not sure how to answer that question, actually. Life, life, stuff happens, and what you make of it makes you who you are.
Ah, okay, there you go. That's right, indeed. It's like crochet, making things indeed. Because I heard you had to have a wonderful sister daughter at the age of 22. You had to be basically a single mom at an early age, if I'm not mistaken, because of some craziness.
That's correct. When I was 22, my 8-year-old sister Adrienne came to visit me for a 2-week Christmas vacation. That's all it was supposed to be at the time. And this was gosh, a long time ago now, December of 1994. And the day after Christmas, our mother called and said that she didn't want to be a mother anymore and wanted me to take my sister. And I said yes. And I was very clear with my mother that if I took her then, that I wasn't going to give her back because I had kind of seen how my mother's life had unraveled and how it affected my sister. And she had moved my sister multiple times in 3 years, so many different schools. And I just felt like even though I didn't really have my life together, I had a college degree, I was living with an alcoholic boyfriend, I was kind of a hot mess myself, but I did feel like and know that I could provide a more stable environment for my sister. So I was 22, she was 8, and I got custody. Eventually, we went to court. I sued and won in court, and I raised my sister all through my 20s until she died from stage 4 liver cancer at the age of 15.
Yeah, yeah, Miss indeed. Definitely sorry to hear that indeed after all these years. Still, I'm sure there's still some moments where it's like, oh crap, darn, she's gone. And then being able to turn that pain into power, it's like you got this foundation now, especially since hearing about liver cancer, no less, which took her out sadly.
Yep, that's right. A year after Adrienne died, I founded Blue Faery, and Blue Faery's mission is to prevent, treat, and cure primary liver cancer, specifically hepatocellular carcinoma, through research, education, and advocacy. And we just celebrated 20 years at the end of last year.
Woohoo! There we go. So this is the year that the
Yeah.
foundation can drink, right? It'll be 21, right?
Well, we don't encourage drinking since it does affect your liver. Moderation. It's all about moderation.
Yep. So indeed. So indeed. Bad joke on a new level. It's like, yep, it's all about liver cancer. You're all avoiding it like the plague. And it's like, oh, the organization's 21 years old. I guess can drink now. Hey, wait a second. How's that supposed to not work? But yes, indeed. So how was it like and what led to starting that foundation indeed and keeping it going, no less? Because my God, 20 years, and if I'm not mistaken, there's been more cases of it growing every year like a darn tree, sadly.
That is true. You've definitely done your homework. It's really scary actually. Liver cancer is one of the only cancers in the US that continues to increase. There is no decline, and it's the same worldwide. So while it's still considered a relatively rare cancer in the US with about 40,000 new cases, worldwide there's over 800,000 new cases and 700,000 deaths. And because of the causes of liver cancer, they predict that the incidence will rise to 1.4 million before 2040 with almost as many deaths. So it's really disturbing and scary. And I it was never my life's goal to start a charity. It really, for me, I was looking for a way. I hit that 1 year anniversary of my sister's death and I fell apart. And I was looking for a way to channel my grief. That's all I wanted to do because I was suicidal. I mean, I was just done. And I wanted to volunteer for an organization, the largest liver disease nonprofit in the US, and they were not interested. It's kind of funny. Like if that organization hadn't slammed the door in my face, Blue Fairy might not exist, but they did. And I found out many years later that that was an edict in the organization for a long time. Like they just did not want to touch liver cancer. So anyway, I was like, well, nobody's doing this. And I knew back then, because I had learned so much about liver cancer with my sister going through it, I knew that it was only going to keep going up. And so I was like, somebody has to do something. And I wanted to create an organization that would be there for these patients and families, the kind of thing that I was so desperately seeking when my sister was sick, and we couldn't find it. There wasn't anything really. And so that's how it all began. And you're right, keeping it going. I mean, we had many, many hard years, but I felt like this is my sister's legacy and I just couldn't give up.
So I'm talking about indeed and lean years indeed, because I heard you had to be a lean machine. Had to run some marathons even though you don't like running, right?
That's right. That's right. That's how we raised money initially was one other board director and I, we both ran marathons in different parts of the country to raise money for the organization to have a little bit of a starting point because I didn't have any money to put into it.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Running miles, bringing smiles, and raising the bars so you won't have as many bills. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, so any signs or causes of liver cancer folks need to be on the lookout for, even though it's a rare disease? Because I remember listening back where I think it's like your sister had a bad shoulder pain when she, well, you didn't have a herniated shoulder before or something like that.
Yeah, she had, I don't want to scare people with the shoulder pain, that's pretty unusual, but she had shoulder pain 2 weeks before she was diagnosed, and the shoulder pain was misdiagnosed, and it turned out that it was actually referred pain from her liver. So if you have extremely advanced liver cancer, you can sometimes feel it in your right shoulder because there's a nerve that goes from our liver all the way up to our right shoulder. The liver's on the right side of the body, in case people didn't know that. And the difficult thing about liver cancer is our liver doesn't have any pain receptors. So most people, unless they know they have an underlying liver disease and they are being properly screened on a regular basis, most people don't know and don't have any pain until so much later. So my sister, for example, her liver got large enough that it was pressing on her diaphragm. And the day I came home from work and found her curled up in a fetal position on the living room floor, that's exactly what she was saying. She was saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And so that's often what happens is the liver cancer is living inside of you. You don't know, you don't have any pain, you don't have any signs or symptoms, or they're really mild. My sister had acid reflux, but I didn't think very much of it because I could not control what she ate outside of our house. She was a teenager. I said, stop eating tacos. I know so many other patients, again, they didn't know that they might be at high risk and they, had mild things like, they would just kind of have an upset stomach. I know one young man who was misdiagnosed with a hernia when he actually had a tumor the size of a football on his liver. So it's a sneaky disease. It really is. And some of the things that can put you at higher risk are having chronic hepatitis B, having hepatitis C, and now what's really making it rise in the US and across the country is what they call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Some doctors now just say fatty liver disease for short. And all that means is you're too heavy for your body. And the heavier you get, the more that puts on the liver, the harder the liver has to work, and it develops fat on the liver. So if you have fatty liver disease, then you are at risk for liver cancer. Not everyone who has fatty liver disease will get liver cancer, but fatty liver disease in and of itself can absolutely destroy your liver. And if you don't know, then all you have to do is ask your doctor for simple blood work. There's simple blood tests for hepatitis B and hepatitis C. You can ask for a metabolic panel to see if your liver enzymes are in normal range. And if they're elevated, then you can take the next steps and go see a specialist. But it's actually not that difficult, just most people don't know.
Ah, well, the enlightening is happening now. That's what I'm talking about,
I
indeed.
hope so.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, for those who still may have that COVID 25, it's like, hey, I have to work on the extra weight.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's not healthy to have extra weight on our bodies. And obesity is linked not only to liver cancer, but to 13 types of cancer
Mm.
total. But it really takes a toll on your GI system and can put you at very high risk for different GI cancers.
So you heard that right, folks. Go for the GI Bill, not the GI cancer, y'all. That's right, indeed. Yes, indeed. So good deal indeed. Good deal indeed. My goodness. So starting the foundation with the wonderful Blue Faery being the F&P, the founder and president, and then being the co-founder of Cancer U. So what led to that opportunity? Did the folks find your Blue Fairy swag and they're like, hey, can we be the Red Fairy? No, let's just be a cancer university.
Oh, I don't want to go too deep into Cancer University. We're going into some major changes right
Oh,
now,
okay.
but It really came out of my experience as a patient advocate, not only with Blue Faery, but seeing what other organizations were doing. And I was really, really frustrated because I truly believe anybody can learn how to be a better advocate for their health, but they need the skill set to do it. They need to be taught how to do it. So that was really the impetus for Cancer University. And also I entered an international entrepreneurial competition and did incredibly well in it. And that gave me the motivation to move forward. But like I said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because we're going through some changes right now.
Ah, all right. So I gotta put Eminem's "Changes" song in the show notes. Got you. All right. So my good,
You better get the rights, man. Song lyrics are tricky. Songs
a
are
link to the
tricky.
song, not the whole dang song.
Oh, okay. All right. I think you could do that. That's fair use. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it because my sister loved music, and in my original manuscript there were a lot of references to musical lyrics in my book, and I had to take all of them out except for what was considered fair use. So, warning to authors. Don't use song lyrics unless you want to be sued.
And they're hungry for that crap. Like my goodness, it's an amazing thing Spotify's still around. You think they would have got axed by now?
Yeah. No, no, because I think, right, they I mean, they have permission. It's not Napster. Do you remember Napster back in
Oh
the
yeah.
day? Now, that was a business that was gonna go out of business eventually. I mean, there was no way that the recording industry was gonna put up with Napster for very long.
Exactly. They made sure they took a permanent nap.
Yep.
So my goodness, your book. That's right indeed. A good old combination of journal entries from yourself and your sis. And you won awards for the book too, if I'm not mistaken. So how does it feel years later? And I believe you got another book planned after this one too, right?
I do. It's Better Off Bald: The Life in 147 Days, and it's very rewarding. I really wanted it to be accepted by the medical community, and it has. And then I wanted some critical acclaim, I'm not gonna lie, and it's won many awards, and I'm very proud of that. And actually, the audiobook just came out about a month ago. So the audiobook was much later, and I have a co-narrator who voices all of my sister's lines, and it's really phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed, I always appreciate it when the authors usually voice their own books when it comes to just narrating their books when they're in audio, because for a better experience. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right. So you get to have Andrea in your ears a little longer, folks. That's right, indeed. Copy the audiobook.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't listen to audiobooks that often. I will occasionally, and I'm not even gonna say the name of the book because it's really hot right now, but I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna see if this book has any merit, and then maybe I'll just read it." Because, like I said, I don't really listen to audiobooks too often, but I I was like, "Man, I hope it's funnier if I read it," because I could not get past the author's voice. It was so deadpan, and here's the thing, she's a comedian. And I'm like, "How is this woman funny?" Because she's not funny. And I didn't even get past chapter 1. I know that sounds terrible, but I couldn't do it. If I could have gotten my money back, I would have. I was like, "Wow, this is bad, bad." So, anyway, that's my sidebar.
Did you hear any of the woman stand up before the audiobook?
I didn't, but I'd heard her in a couple of interviews, and I'd heard so much about the book, and I thought, "Oh, well, check it out," and it's a very funny title, and, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I think most of the time authors should read their own books, but not always. Not always.
Yeah. Okay, I should probably put some. Let me go perform their own books. There we go. That's probably better. 'Cause it's really a performance in a way. Because
It's a
yeah,
performance. Yeah. Yeah. I spent a week in Franklin, Tennessee, outside of Nashville, recording the audiobook with my co-narrator, and I was exhausted. And we only recorded about 5 hours a day. And by Friday, I wanted to sleep for a week. I was just so mentally and emotionally exhausted from it.
There we go. That sounds about right indeed. So I guess the theater major finally came into play here, huh?
It did. It did. Dude, you did your homework. Yeah, it did. It helped.
So does it come into play in any other ways, especially when you're on stage?
I think it's very helpful. It is. I mean, I think there are times that you kind of need to protect yourself or you need to put on a positive face, right? When you might not be feeling it. And so I think that's where acting has served me the most is in real life.
There we go. Good old spear shaking it. That's right indeed. The world's a stage. Every guy's got to play their parts. That's right indeed. Got to play their parts indeed. That's right indeed. Whether it's a part in a haircut or heck or parting the Red Sea. That's right indeed. Got to play the part indeed. Oh man. So my goodness, so since you've been on a boatload of interviews, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often when you're on the guest side of the game on these podcasts?
Oh, I mean, I like fun questions and I love rapid fire type questions. Like I like those kinds of things and not a lot of interviewers do them, but I like fun questions. I mean, I always feel like, ask me anything and if I don't want to answer it, I just won't answer it, right? I mean,
There you go. There you go. So, seen any ghosts during Halloween since that was your sister's favorite holiday?
no, but I did something this past Halloween that I had not done since Adrienne died. I carved a pumpkin, and that used to be our thing. She was an incredible artist, and she would design these incredible pumpkins and, tell me exactly where to cut and scrape and whatever. And like one year we had all South Park pumpkins. I mean, we always had all these crazy pumpkins that she would design. And then this last year I was like, okay, it's been 20 years since I've carved a pumpkin. I think I want to do it. And I'm not the artist my sister was, but I'm okay. And so I actually did a pumpkin of my dog, and the neighborhood freaking loved it because everybody knows our dog. So that was fun, and it felt like a little homage to my sister.
There we go. Pumpkin swag.
There you go.
Some took the bed indeed. That's right indeed. So that means she's going to be carving pumpkins until eternity every Halloween now.
I don't know. I don't
There you
know.
go. Maybe even make one of the pumpkins a helmet and then be a jack-o'-lantern. Walk around, be it.
No, that I will not do. No, not happening. I love pumpkin. Don't get me wrong. I truly, absolutely love to eat pumpkin, but no, not doing that.
Okay, I'll check back in 5 years. All right. So my goodness, so with the second book indeed, the follow-up book where things went totally south and you had to rise like a phoenix. Any progress or I guess status updates on the second one? Because it sounds like it's gonna be a epic follow-up to the first book.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. It's very different and it covers the 10 years after my sister died when I was grieving and I married the wrong person, not a bad person, but the wrong person for me. I made a lot of mistakes. I really struggled to kind of find my footing and my place. I had so many careers I lost track, truly lost track. It's really this sort of uncertain time and I'm writing this book because it's the book that I couldn't find when I was going through all of that. I couldn't find a book that made me feel better or helped me and my now ex-husband in our marriage. And so it really is for all the women out there who have experienced a deep loss, especially if they've lost their child. You should never outlive your child and the impact that has on your life. You mentioned acting earlier. The first year after my sister's death, I completely acted my way through it. Every day I acted, every single day. And that's what happened. That's why when I hit that year anniversary mark, I just fell apart because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pretend that I was okay anymore for everybody because I wasn't okay. I was not okay at all. And I needed to not be okay. And part of the book is also going to cover how I lost all of my friends. So all of the friends that I had in the first book who were there for my sister's entire cancer journey, who showed up, I lost all of them in my 30s. And that was very tough.
I can imagine, D, because it's like, what the hell happened? It's like, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell happened? But it's not uncommon. I did find it's not uncommon that if you have a very significant loss, especially if it's a child, especially if it's sort of the unnatural order of things, right? Parents are not supposed to outlive their children. It's not uncommon for you to lose friends.
Yeah, man. Well, that sucks a lot. Yeah, dang, dang.
Hmm. But I'm gonna do my best not to make it a downer and make sure there's a lot of humor in it, just like the first book.
So you will be dressing up in a pumpkin suit in the book. All right.
No, I don't think so. No.
So no spice. Ah, man. Well, since you're a fellow podcast, I was got to ask you one of those obligatory podcasting questions.
Oh,
So,
sure.
oh yeah,
Shoot.
pew pew. So, what are your three major lessons learned from starting and running your podcast thus far?
Oh, the more organized and structured you can be, the better, because there's just so many different moving parts. Hire someone to help you, or in our case, we couldn't afford someone, so we found an intern, and she was a godsend. We never would have launched the podcast without our intern, and she was only supposed to be with us for 4 months. She was with us for a year and a half. Phenomenal young woman. Shout out to Michelle. And third, decide what's important to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's important? What's the goal of the podcast? And make choices and test them out and move forward and listen to podcasts. Just like people who are writers ask me for advice, I always say, read in the genre that you want to write. Read, 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 read. Same thing with podcasts. Listen to podcasts in your genre. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to incorporate that they're doing really well? Or what is it you want to stay away from? I discovered a podcast recently and I listen to mostly like nonfiction podcasts. And I discovered a podcast recently and I'm listening to like older seasons and I'm sitting there going, God, I hope they change this in future seasons because the introduction is 5 freaking
Damn.
minutes. Now that I know that, I don't waste the 5 minutes, right? I just fast forward. But I'm like, how do these people have a successful podcast when the introduction is so long? Like really long. It's not just all ads. It's like this weird combination of here's another show you might like, and here's an ad, and oh yeah, and
Oh
here's another
God.
thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, just get to the point. Luckily the content's interesting enough. I'm willing to fast forward 5 minutes, but I do find it truly annoying.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely can suck indeed. Yeah, I think one show I listened to, it was 10 minutes of the guest talking before the interview started. I'm like, damn, what the hell, bro? Yeah,
What? Was that like a weird excerpt or something? Oh, no, that's not. That's too long. Weird,
yeah,
right?
it was
Right?
stories and random commentary, a couple ads. I'm like, okay, all right.
That's long. That's long.
Yeah, and another reason why I don't give interview recaps or introductions before the actual interview starts.
Right? You get right into it. I like that. That's my preference anyway.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, solid advice for the aspiring podcast host, indeed. That's right, indeed. You're so right. Like, get some help if you can. Shoot, if you can afford it too. That's a double bingo situation right there. Because it's like, all right, more time to focus on doing what you do best as opposed to the post production. It's basically a full time job if you take it serious, and depending on the level and the amount of content you put out into the world for them to devour. Yeah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of devouring, fun question for you. So, your fabulous book, book one, Better Off Bold. If it were a food, what would it be and why?
Oh my God. Okay. Was not expecting that question. And I listened to a lot of your episodes. I'm just gonna say the first I
That's
did.
funny.
I'm gonna say the first I would say the first. I did. I was fully prepared for these other questions, not that one. Okay, I'm gonna say the first thing that came to mind, which is apples,
Okay.
because there's so much variety in apples, right? And I hate, for example, I hate red delicious apples. Hate. Love Granny Smith apples. I like sometimes like, I think it's called Fiji apples. I mean, just depends. And so I feel like with my book, there's something for everyone. There's a little bit of something for everyone. It is technically a medical memoir, so it is really heavy in the medical stuff, but it's also very inspirational, and many people, do find the humor and say it's funny. So apple. What about the apple?
That's right indeed. So I guess the doctors who read your book, they're apple proof, huh? The doctors were able to stay with it as opposed to stay away from it. That's good. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Talking about indeed. Yeah. I'm like, damn, she did. It's kind of funny if folks say they're not prepared for that question. Because I asked at least 150 folks that question so far since like 2020.
I missed it. I missed it.
You must went to the episode.
I was prepared for the describe yourself in 3 words or whatever. So I was prepared for that, but not the food one. Not the food one. So in all seriousness, I am really so touched that the medical community has embraced my book. And one of my goals early on was I serve on this kind of like a board, committee thing for Mayo Clinic. And early on, I was like, I want my book in the Mayo Clinic patient library. They have this enormous library for patients. It's phenomenal. And they have all different kinds of books in there, but they do kind of look for books that have stories and aren't just straight like anatomy medical textbooks. And my book is in many, many, many libraries, but I've never been prouder than when I found out it was in the Mayo Clinic patient library. That makes me happy.
I let that miracle whip indeed. It went to the Mayo Clinic, baby. That's right, indeed. Congratulations, indeed. So, what are you excited about for the future? Some changes happening in some other areas, but coming out in the future. So, any other big things planned for the future from the Big A herself?
More speaking engagements. I'm really looking forward to doing more speaking and on bigger stages. I feel like my story really inspires people and they take something away from it, something actionable. And so that's what I'm looking forward to most. And yeah, finishing the first draft of my second book by the end of this year. I've got a hard deadline for myself.
Oh, there we go. There we go. It's that mahogany, baby. It's a hard deadline. That's right.
I don't remember you being this goofy on other podcasts I listened to.
Ah, that's funny indeed. That's right. They told you it was a danger zone. But hey, it ain't about trees, it's about the amazing Andrew. So we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, if I was still raising my sister, I would tell myself to go get her tested for hepatitis B and C immediately. Because if I had known that she had those viruses in her system, I might have been able to save her life. So, a little serious, I know, but yeah, if I had known, I might have been able to save her life.
Heck yeah, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, folks. See your doctor, get tested frequently for stiffs. That's right, indeed. We want y'all to be on this planet for a long dang time. That's right, indeed. Keep the government mad because we're still living past the good old 60s, y'all. Make sure Social Security, keep getting Social Security and everything else, baby. That's right, indeed. Live long lives, be centenarians. That's right, indeed. All in our hundreds with good minds on our shoulders. Still alive and well, still doing for ourselves. Healthy, wealthy, and wise indeed. That's right, indeed. Gray hair and all. That's right, indeed. Silver superstars. That's right. That's the goal, baby. Get yourself tested. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Roger's coming for you. That's right, indeed.
I don't know about that, but
There you go.
But in all seriousness, hepatitis C and hepatitis B, they're blood tests, and there is a cure. There are curative drugs for hepatitis C, and there is a vaccination for hepatitis B. And most people in the US of a certain age have had the hepatitis B vaccination, although there are still a couple of states that don't require it during childhood. Unfortunately, where I live now, Alabama is
Oh,
one of them. Um, but um, but yeah, hepatitis B and hepatitis C, get tested.
yeah, definitely. Because I believe I had that when I was younger. I think I was like fifth grade or whatever. Yeah, definitely. Better safe than sorry, y'all. Definitely safe than sorry indeed. So, health is wealth, y'all. Sorry indeed. Health is wealth indeed.
That's true. That's true. If you don't have your health, you really don't have anything. So I'm finally getting over a long COVID diagnosis. I got a horrible case of COVID last year, about this time last year. Didn't know it was COVID because I didn't have sort of typical symptoms. And then by the time I actually went and followed up with my doctor months later, lost over 10% of my body weight. I had many blood clots all through my lungs and had no idea. I just knew that I couldn't put weight on and I kept losing weight and that I was exhausted all the time. And so health is everything, man. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely indeed. Well, glad you're still freaking here. My God, that COVID ain't no joke. I
Thanks.
had that crap myself. I was never that exhausted my whole freaking life. Like, dude, it's annoying.
Yeah, right. Right. I'm seeing my doctor in 2 days. No, 2 days. No, tomorrow. I'm seeing my doctor. God, I need to remember that. I'm seeing my doctor tomorrow because every time he's tested my immune system, it's just been in the toilet. It's horrible. And I'm going to the same conference in a week and a half where I got COVID last year. And it's the largest medical conference in the US. And I need to do something to make sure my immunity is intact. I have to.
Ugh,
And I'm gonna say something that people are gonna probably give you a little grief for, but just wearing a mask isn't enough. Okay. It's not really gonna do it for you. So you have to have internally a strong immune system.
hey, that's true. That's some bad irony too. Medical conference or no less, and you got the damn COVID.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, so many
Damn.
people got it. So many people, even people who wore their mask the whole time and who wore like actual mask N95 mask, not these little cloth masks that I hate to break it to people, don't do anything. But even those people, it was just everywhere.
Damn. That's an ouch.
Yeah,
That's an ouch indeed.
yeah.
I guess keep a giant lemon strapped to your back or something. That's right indeed. But hey, ain't about lemons and lemonade. It's about the amazing Angie. So for those need to keep in contact with you, keep it with your journey and all the wonderful things that you're doing to help out the good old blue earth itself and the humans that live on it, what's the best way for folks to do so?
My website, AndreaWilsonWoods.com. All my links are there. To find the book, betteroffbald.com, and Blue Faery is bluefairy.org. But if you go to Andrea Wilson Woods, it's all there.
I can't believe it just hit me. You're in Walking Enchanted Forest. Your last name is Woods. You have a nonprofit called Blue Fairy. So your forest has a blue fairies in it.
No one's ever put that together, Dom. So congrats. Good one.
Well, you're that here, folks. You're there first, dang gummit. Go into Andrea's site. Go into her enchanted forest. That's right, indeed. There's health there. That's right, indeed. You might find a camel if my influence gets in there enough for no reason. That's right, indeed. Maybe a giraffe too, and then a penguin holding a blueberry pie for the blue fairies that are floating around, promoting health and wealth and happiness. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, before we go deeper to that rabbit hole of the enchanted forest, any parting word before we close up shop?
Yeah, I do. I think this is really important for people to hear, and it's something that I wish I'd heard when I was really, really young. So maybe this is for younger people, but I think adults can hear it too. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's actually attributed to the right person. It's by Eleanor Roosevelt, and the quote is, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Think about that for a minute. And I think too often, and I'm guilty of this, we play the victim. Oh, that person hurt my feelings. Okay, well, there are mean people out there. There are assholes out there. but literally no one can make you feel bad unless you give them permission to make you feel bad. So I think that's really important for people to understand. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I have no idea if it goes with the theme of this show, but again, it's what popped into my mind, so I'm just saying it anyway.
If you're hearing this part of the episode, that means you're one cool individual. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to share it with at least one other person in your network. Bonus points for 3. And be sure to check out the backlog too while you're at it, because there are hundreds of wonderful episodes to choose from as well.